Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Simply Nerdy. This is your host Steven. I'm joined today by Anthony.
Hey everyone!
And guess what? We're talking Splatoon 3 because we haven't done it yet. Shame on me, but here we are. And we're here to talk about it because it is an awesome game and a fantastic entry in the series. And as always, everyone, if you enjoy these discussions, subscribe to our channel and like this video. It always helps us out. So let's get into it, Anthony. So this game, remember, when this game was announced and kind of just its early release, there was always the question, does this Splatoon game earn the 3 in the title? What new thing or mode is going to be introduced in this thing so that it earns the 3? Well, we're going to start this video just by saying this. Splatoon 3 does not need a new thing or mode to earn the 3 in the title. There was tons of little improvements that made a big difference in this game.
That's at least the humble opinion that we submit to all of you.
Of nerds. The opinion of nerds.
So, yeah, I haven't played as much of Splatoon 3 as Steven has. And the honest reason for that is Xenoblade 3, so...
It's sucking him in.
It sucked me in 150 hours ago, and I'm still playing it hardcore. I've beaten the game, loved it, and now I just want to keep doing more stuff. So Splatoon 3, I haven't, because of that reason, I haven't touched it as much as Steven has, but what little I have played, I've been actually really impressed with. Like Steven said, there's just been a number of small improvements that I feel like make a pretty big difference overall in the gameplay. I feel like both myself and David in particular have kind of expressed a bit of a difficulty enjoying the series in general because, well, you know, we're not super great at it, and sometimes it just feels like we're just constantly respawning. One of the first things I noticed with Splatoon 3 that I thought completely set it apart from the other games was that the respawning behavior is so much more active, for lack of a better term. Like, I feel like I remember in previous games, and I didn't, you know, I can't corroborate these numbers because I haven't played them in a long time, but I feel like I remember like half a minute per respawn, or at least it would keep on going up and up every time you got splatted, and so it would just add insult to injury. I spent so much time just watching the jerk who splatted me continuing to take my turf, and I sit there seething in rage until I can finally go, and then I'm so tilted that I just get splatted right away again. Like,
Yep.
So like I had a hard time wanting to ever play the original games, even though there were things I really liked about them, you know, specifically because of that. And one thing that I noticed right away with Splatoon 3 that makes it, to me, as a noob, a completely different experience. I am actually playing most of the time. The respawn timer is what, like 5 seconds?
5 seconds, that's what my note says here, because I also wanted to talk about that. I said respawning takes 5 seconds, and you no longer play Respawn the game.
Yeah. I mean, you know, for those of you who are like, well, just go get good, well, yeah, you know.
If you have time for that.
Been trying for a long time. Get off my back.
No one got time for that.
But I just love that in the process of getting better at the game, I don't have to spend all my time watching some other people playing it. It's already far superior to 1 and 2 on that basis alone, in my opinion.
I got one. Ready for this one? An option to listen to the Splatcast. You can skip the intro when the game is launched. Animal Crossing, take notes. Isabel, I love you, but oh my gosh, like, can we do this in Animal Crossing 2? That'd be awesome. But we're talking about Splatoon 3. But yeah, listening to the Splatcast instead of having to read that whole dialogue every time you launch the game.
That's something they should have done a long time ago, and it is kind of funny to talk about how that's such a big deal for us, because it's like one man's trash is another man's treasure. I'm just like, yes, I can play this game without having to listen to these people gab on for ages every time. That was actually pretty big deterrent for me. I'm like, oh, but I don't want to log on because I'm going to have to sit through it like 2 minutes of talking first.
And then play Respawn the game after.
And play yes. You could see why I wasn't enamored with the series. So a couple other things. Some of these next opinions I'm going to share, I feel like are maybe, or at least one of them is a little bit more divisive. It sounds like my experience is very different from some other people's experiences. So I'm just a little bit surprised to even hear that people are having basically the opposite experience that I have had. But one of the other things that I've been really impressed with playing Splatoon 3 is it feels like everything about the online matchmaking has been significantly streamlined.
Oh, yes.
Now, for those of you who have felt otherwise, I'm sorry. All I can say is that for me, I don't know why it's not the same across the board, but for me, it's been seamless every time. It takes, I enter a lobby, and I have barely enough time to splat a few sections of the floor before it zips me in. It's super fast, maybe 5 to 10 seconds a pop is what I've seen so far. I love that you can actually kind of do something while you're waiting for people to get on. Another thing that I've noticed is it seems like, again, for me, and I haven't played a ton of rounds, but I played several and, kind of in a short period. And it seemed like there was far less failed sessions or dropped players. I can only remember one time, and I think it was because someone cut their game in the middle, and so, we all got kicked out. But that was the only time. Other than that, the rounds have always seemed really smooth. I didn't detect any lag. It was great. So,
going back to that though, I'm going to talk about the new lobby, kind of what Anthony was just talking about. Like, I also wrote down that you are able to practice with your weapon as you find a match to join, and that is huge because before you were just locked behind this endless song that would play with just the name of all the players. You couldn't cancel, you couldn't leave. If you left, you were banned and you couldn't join again because Nintendo, had their little algorithm there that was like, you're doing suspicious activity, like you're not playing or you're doing something. So it'd kick you off for like 4 minutes. It's so nice. Thank you. Easier than ever to join battles with your friends and play on the same team.
Oh my gosh. Oh yes. See, that's another one of those things that makes this a completely different experience than the previous games.
Yes.
Oh, heavens. One of the reasons... I feel like most of my enjoyment playing Splatoon comes from playing with my friends, which was so difficult to do.
It was so hard.
In previous entries.
It was so hard.
Like, they made it so you had to jump through hoops, and even then you probably wouldn't be able to play with your friends because something would happen on their end, or you'd be put on different sides of the arena. Like, almost every time I played with Steven, we were on opposite sides. And I'm like, why are we even doing this? Because Steven is so much better than me.
And I whoop him. And he's like, why am I playing this game? That's exactly right. Like, you had no idea if you were going to be on the same team as the friends you wanted to play with. Like, you had no control. But in this game, you have all the control. And it's so nice. And not only that, but all you have to do to join a match, like, yes, you walk into the lobby, right? And then you can walk into this other kind of portal to join a match. You don't have to walk into that portal. You can just be practicing with your weapon and be like, okay, this weapon feels good. I'm going to join a match. And you just push the L button and it launches it. And you can say, all right, I'm going to join the lobby. I'm going to join ranked matches. I'm going to join some friends. And it's all right there at the push of a button.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It just feels like they've just polished the heck out of this thing.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
I wouldn't say no to more content, but I'm happy with what we've got so far.
I won't either. Something else I love is staff serve food and drinks inside the lobby for extra rewards in battle. You don't have to, because before, that crab outside of Splatoon 2 that would serve you food and drinks for extra stats to boost your stats in battle. He was outside the lobby. You had to go outside the lobby, talk to him, get your power-ups or whatever, go back in. You don't have to do that. You can just go in the lobby, talk to him, get your power-up, start the match, bam, you're done. And then alongside practicing your weapon inside the lobby is they have that copy machine to simulate enemy ink if you want to practice some power-ups or some new gear that you got that has enemy ink endurance. You can try it out or whatever else you want to do with that. I don't know what you do with that. So, explain to me down below what else you'd use that for. But it is cool that you can actually experiment with that enemy ink while you're in there. Sorry, Anthony, you have anything else? I had to just talk about the lobby. Since you brought the lobby up, I had a bunch of lobby stuff I had to get off.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was all good stuff. I think probably one of the last really big things that I really love is the refinements to to the salmon run.
Oh my gosh, that's another one. That's actually my next one.
Well, salmon run was my favorite mode in Splatoon 2. And I think it's, you know, I tend to enjoy cooperative gameplay in general better anyway, but also, you know, like I wasn't getting constantly splatted by other people. I was getting splatted by the, you know, these enemies, and I don't know, it felt different. Anyway, I enjoyed that mode a lot more, but there were just a lot of problems. First of all, you couldn't play it whenever you wanted. You know, you'd have to log on when they said, "Oh, it's finally open." Yes, you know, once you got in, you could pretty much plan on playing with your friends. So that was my first complaint. You couldn't play it all the time. And then also, it did feel like it had some balance issues. Like, it was extremely difficult to win any salmon run. That didn't stop me from enjoying it, but I feel like 4 out of 5 times we'd lose because we'd get overrun at the end. I don't know, something crazy. We'd just be like, I have no idea how this just went to crap, but it totally did.
We were doing so good. The only thing I have on my notes is it's open all the time because that's all that matters. it's finally open all the time.
No, there's one other thing I have to say. It again, you know, we're basically our thesis here is that this game is far above its predecessors specifically because of all of these little improvements that just really drive it over the top. And here's another one of those. Being able to throw the eggs. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
That changes everything.
Okay,
like,
forget about that.
Because there are times when like you're getting mobbed and you know what? I mean, if you get splatted right there, you know, in the old games, you know, if you get splatted right there, then well, there goes your egg, and you know, good luck getting back to it before they steal it, or you know, just getting splatted again. You know, but like now, and it's so much easier to get the eggs in the basket too. You don't have to go, you know, slowly waddle up to it. You can just throw it in and get back to what you were doing. And you can also use it defensively, like, oh shoot, I'm about to get splatted. Whoop, you know, lob it to one of your teammates, or
just somewhere else, somewhere closer to another teammate. Doesn't matter. Just get it closer to someone else,
or just closer to the, you know, to the target. Anyway, that is a big deal. Now, there's probably some of you that are being like, so you think this game is amazing because they made it so you could throw something?
Yes.
And the answer is yes. Yes. It makes a huge difference. It feels like the final piece of the gameplay puzzle that just completes that package. And between those two improvements, which again are admittedly minor, but make a huge difference, now I just absolutely adore Salmon Run. And
oh man.
And that's, I mean, like I already enjoyed it before, now I love it even more. Basically, my stance on this game is I feel like this is the first time where I'm actually being allowed to enjoy Splatoon without reservation, I guess.
Woot woot! You heard it here first. I've converted Anthony. No, I didn't. Splatoon 3 converted Anthony. Good job, Splatoon 3.
Yeah, well, I mean, so the funny thing is I've owned all of the Splatoon games because there's something still very compelling about the games. And
you never played it with me. This is like the first time I think this is. I mean, granted, we've only played a handful of times, but I swear this is like the most we've ever played together.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's because I actually want to.
Yeah!
But, you know, there's something really compelling about the games, and yet I just had trouble getting into it because I felt like Splatoon 1 and 2 were very hard for me to approach, but Splatoon 3 just feels like they finally took a balance. It feels like there's still a really high skill ceiling. There's still people out there who would kick my trash up halfway to Timbuktu and back. And you know what? That's fine, you know, but for me, like, I'm actually feeling more compelled to maybe ever someday get to that point because the experience of getting there is actually enjoyable now. I haven't touched the single player campaign yet or anything else. I've heard it's good, but basically I've just gotten to the point where, you know what? Okay, Splatoon 3 doesn't necessarily have its big new thing, but that doesn't matter because it still feels like it's far better than the previous games just because of how much they polished the existing systems. And it has to be said, there's a huge amount of DLC planned, both paid and unpaid.
Yeah.
So for all we know, that big thing is getting polished right now.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah, well, and that's the name of the game. You know, Splatoon 3 just feels like, you know, as they say, third time's the charm. It just seems like they said, okay, let's just take what works and let's make it hecka good. You know,
Yep.
and they did. And anyway, so I'm already perfectly satisfied with the base product, but it sounds like there's plenty more to look forward to. All in all, I'd say that, you know, even though I've owned all the games in the series and there's something I always wanted to like it, I feel like this time it's easy for me to do so.
And I will talk about the single player just for a second because Anthony hasn't touched that, but I'll just say without spoiling, it is the perfect combination of the Octo expansion and what Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2 offered in their single player campaigns. I feel like there's just enough open world I can explore. It's not open world, but it's open zone, right? So there's a lot of collectibles in there I can explore and find, and each level is almost exactly tailored just like the Octo expansion was, which I loved. And they offer unique challenges that are extremely difficult in some situations, and I struggle with some of them actually. Especially the ones where they strip you of all your weapons and have you dodge enemy fire for 30 seconds. You know, it is a fantastic campaign. I'm enjoying it so far. I've not beat it yet, but I'm very much enjoying myself. So good job with the single player campaign as well. This game is just fantastic all around, and you heard it here first. Let us know down in the comments what you thought of Splatoon 3, and if you're enjoying the multiplayer aspect as much as we are, and let us know if you're having those technical difficulties that have been storming the internet lately, because as we've stated before, we have not seen much of that.
If you've been kind of holding off on the series because you weren't sure it's for you, this is probably the best jumping on point. Dive in.
Dive in the ink. Let's go, baby. Anyway, all right, guys, you heard it first. Until next time, keep it nerdy.